It's time for Windows Weekly. Paul Thurrott's here. Mary Jo Foley, too. She's feeling better, although she sounds worse. We're going to talk about the latest news from Microsoft, including the Windows 10 roadmap, and finally, a fine type cover for the Surface Pro 4. It's all next on Windows Weekly.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for Windows Weekly is provided by CacheFly at CACHEFLY.com. This is Windows Weekly, episode 461, recorded Wednesday, April 13th, 2016. Made from the finest lint. Windows Weekly is brought to you by FreshBooks, the super simple cloud accounting software that's giving thousands of freelancers and small businesses the tools to save time billing and get paid faster. Try it free at freshbooks.com/Windows. And by ZipRecruiter. Are you hiring? With ZipRecruiter.com, you can post to 100-plus job sites, including social networks, all with a single click. Screen, rate, and hire the right candidates fast. Try ZipRecruiter with a free 4-day trial now at ZipRecruiter.com/Windows. It's time for Windows Weekly, the show where we talk about the latest news from Microsoft. Mary Jo Foley's back. We missed you, Mary Jo.
Thanks. I wish I sounded better, but I feel good.
Okay. So it doesn't hurt to speak.
It does not hurt to speak.
It just hurts.
It hurts a little to listen to.
I know, sorry.
I
It hurts
feel
me
bad
to
for you.
listen.
Yeah.
You know?
You're drinking tea and honey and all that, or bourbon, or whatever. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Well, welcome back. I'm glad you made it back, because we
Thank
did miss you. It's not the same without Mary Jo Foley.
No.
Allaboutmicrosoft.com. That's her ZDNet blog. Paul Thurrott is at Thurrott.com, a Petri blog. THURROTT, and the author of many fine volumes. Many feet tall.
Yep.
Or I guess you don't stack your books. You just put them on a shelf.
I could. They're on two shelves, so it would
Wow.
probably be 5 feet-ish.
Two
of
shelves.
Books.
He's a
guess what
two-shelf man. You're like up there with James Patterson and Stephen King.
Yeah, we socialize in the same circles.
A two-shelf kind of guy.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's kick things off. How did you like that Facebook keynote?
Oh, was that today?
I think it was part one yesterday,
You know what's funny
part
is
two today.
Mark Zuckerberg announcing Facebook's vision for the next 10 years.
Yeah,
And
world
when
domination.
Yeah, basically, yes. That would be He even announced, it was really odd because they have a drone, which he showed. I guess it's supposed to be an internet drone, but it's an unmanned aerial vehicle that looks much like a stealth bomber or, a Blackbird, B-1 bomber, and has the particularly euphonious name of Aquila.
Yep.
Mark, do you have anybody to talk to outside the bubble? Priscilla, can you talk to Mark?
All your ideas are good ideas.
He wants to name the drone Aquila.
Yep.
It's the genus of an eagle, but it's still
Yeah.
Aquila.
You could have called it Eagle.
Here's our new here's our new drone. We call it Hitler. Stands for
Yep.
high altitude. Yeah. What? You don't like the name? Why not? It's anyway.
Oh boy.
Anyway, but the big thing, and I think this is the real land grab, and I have to say, I feel like Facebook has the inside track on the bots. Have you seen the bots? They're coming for us.
Yeah, and actually, so this morning I read a story in the New York Times to my wife. I read the first line of it. I said, just tell me the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear this line. And it was something along the lines of, you're on Facebook Messenger and you're chatting with a clothing store bot and you're ordering clothes. And of course, the first thing that comes out of her mouth is, why would I ever want to do that? I'm like, yeah, no, but you're old. You're old. I said, you gotta think about
kids.
younger people and how they interact with things.
Yeah.
And I said, besides, chatting is one thing via text, but what this really is natural language. And why couldn't it be spoken? Why couldn't this conversation
Well,
be
that's
happening
a good point.
spoken.
And that's why I think Amazon might even have a leg up on this, right?
Yep, I do too.
Because I would much prefer to do this. So I was at Harry McCracken. Some wag said, "Oh yeah, buying flowers. This is just like filling out a form in the 1980s. I mean, it's or 90s, right? It doesn't feel easier, but it might for a mobile platform feel more natural, I guess."
During the Bill Day 2 keynote, there was a segment that it felt like it lasted about 11 hours where they ordered a pizza on Domino's.
Right.
And I said, "Oh, good. Now I can finally order Domino's from home." You're like, what? This is not a difficult
it's here.
process.
The future's here now. So I added the CNN bot, and you want to get your chat just jammed with crap.
Yes.
Yikes.
I also added,
There's a Bing News bot like that too that you can add to Skype.
right.
Which,
And the thing is, you got to have, and this is High Poncho. It's a weather bot. High Poncho.
That's
and
good.
the weather bot mostly says annoying things. Like I don't know why he's not. The one this morning I got from Poncho. Let's see if I can find it here. He said something about. Oh, I don't know where Poncho went. Oh, here it is. According to Wikipedia, Poncho says this is. I'm getting a message. It says it's very confusing initially. According to Wikipedia, most offices have holidays during breezy mid-60s temperatures. Also, did you know anyone can edit Wikipedia?
Oh, jeez.
That's
weird.
yesterday. It was don't cause a scene about these high 50s temps. I don't want no drama unless it's part of TNT's lineup.
All right. Let me make an observation as the parent of a teenager. That is no less nonsensical than anything my son has ever sent to or from a friend of his.
Right.
I mean, it's
the language of the Utes.
It's almost nonsense. And that probably makes sense to those people.
Yeah. That's what they want, I guess. Now, the key for this or on Skype is good tools to disable it, right, to control it. Because I don't want, I mean, that's why we went to messaging, particularly in business like Slack and HipChat, is because email was out of control. But if you get just as much junk in your inbox in messaging, how is that better? It's worse. It needs to be in.
You know what this reminds me of is the early days of Windows Phone 7. And the reason being that what these companies want you to do is chat with a very specific bot. In other words, if you were the owner of a clothing store line, whatever it might be, the Gap or something, what you want is some person to chat with the Gap and buy a shirt from the Gap. But what people, I mean, and some people would want that exact thing, of course. But I think in general, what you're really looking for is general information or general capabilities. Like I want to buy some soap or I want to buy some shirt, some type of shirt or whatever. And you're not necessarily thinking about the retailer, but you're thinking about the thing. You know, you want the weather or whatever it is. And it's sort of like that original vision for Windows Phone 7 where the brands kind of go away and it's really about this experience. It's all integrated with all these different services. So it's not really clear how this is going to evolve because if you do it the Windows 7 way, the Windows Phone 7 way, it's never going to work. You know, no retailers would ever support that. But I find it very halting right now to interact with I want to see pictures of Paris, so I have to go to the Bing Images bot, and then you get search results inside of Skype, and it's like, well, this isn't particularly elegant or interesting.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious.
At least it's not proactively sending you images, though, right?
No, unless you, of course, are on a Microsoft website, in which case Skype probably is doing that because that's that terrible integration, you know.
Yeah, I added the Bing Images bot too to Skype.
I kind of like
that.
that.
Just to try it.
But what do you do with it? I mean,
what you do is you go into the Bing Images bot and you type in something you want to find an image or a GIF. So I typed yesterday beer bots just because, and it proactively sends me back pictures that are under I can't think of the name of the license. Something Commons.
Creative Commons. Yeah.
Creative Commons.
Yeah,
it sends me back Flickr.
Yeah.
Right. Flickr images, Wikipedia images, anything that's under Creative Commons license.
Right.
So it doesn't really do anything for you that you couldn't do yourself in a search engine.
No, I think the point of that, though, is you're in the app. So I use those GIF bots because I want a GIF to send a message. So,
Yeah.
in fact,
Right,
Telegram does this. You're in a message, and you want a perfect GIF. You can actually, or a perfect sticker. They have a bot. Telegram's way ahead of this on bots, but nobody uses Telegram.
Yeah.
And you go at stickers, and you put beer, and then it will
Gives you
offer you
choices.
some, and then
Yeah.
you tap one, and then it injects it into the message. So it's a way of getting, because it's right there, right? So
Right.
yeah, of course you could go if you're on a
So,
desktop.
by the way, since we're all feeling pretty old right now, I will point out there was also a story this week, I think, in the New York Times about millennials entering the workforce, and they've never, or even younger people than millennials, whatever that generation is called, who have never experienced email before, so they treat it like a text message,
Like email,
So they
like
send these really short messages with lots of typos. And the people who've been at the company for a while will write them back and say, "No, this isn't how email works."
Yeah.
Construct carefully worded
Yeah,
sentences.
but
And
whose future is it? Theirs or the young?
that's
people?
what I'm saying. It is kind of interesting. Yeah.
There is a culture clash, but let's face it, the kids.
Which one's gonna win
kids-
out? Yeah,
the kids are going to outlive us.
Eventually, they're going to be pulling the plug on us. Yes. So,
My son always said, "Be nice to me. I'm choosing your nursing home." And I went, okay.
that's a very adult thought, by the way.
Yeah, he was like 8 when he
very,
started saying that.
very scary thought.
I think he must have read it somewhere, but yeah.
Yeah.
He also, we were staying in a summer home, and it was kind of beat up, and the doorknob came off, and he said, "This crap shack's going to hell." Kids, they say the darndest things.
Yep.
So, I don't know how I got into that, but I just thought that's very interesting, and I think Microsoft. So, by the way, for ordering stuff, Echo has it all over all these other guys.
Yeah, mine just arrived today, by the way.
Well, you'll see.
Yeah, and I mean, the first thing I can tell you, the clarity of her voice is astonishing.
Yeah.
And it's not that, Cortana sounds okay, and but there's something very clear about it. And when you push music through it, the speaker's not that great. It's fine,
No, it's fine
But
for
when
books,
you-
though, right?
Yeah, I haven't tried it yet, but I would imagine just spoken word. would be
Say
fine.
read to me. Say Echo read to me.
Yeah, but her voice, just for whatever interaction, she gives you the news, she gives you the traffic, gives you the weather, whatever, is really clear. It's not computery at all.
Echo, what's the traffic going to be like on my commute today? Never mind, she's not listening. Echo, what's the traffic like today?
For Leo's commute, the fastest route takes about 7 minutes via Gossage Avenue and Petaluma Boulevard North.
How about that?
Yeah.
I can ask her how much gas is in the tank, but more importantly, I could say, Echo, buy some toilet paper.
Toilet paper added to your shopping list.
Oh, see,
Yeah,
if I
we
say
did.
the right kind, Echo,
Yeah.
order some Cottonelle. I need to say the right kind.
Based on Leo's order history, I found Cottonelle Ultra Comfort.
Leo, you seem to go through an awful lot of Cottonelle. Is everything okay? Should I send you to your doctor?
To order it, tell me Leo's voice code.
See, my
Thanks.
son would have read your lips
Order,
and known what
please.
your code was.
So I just placed an order for toilet paper.
Yeah.
Now that's the interaction you want. Now, of course, you could do that in messaging, but isn't that easier?
So, by the way, the thing that you just did is the very first thing my wife figured out. And she said, "So where's the shopping list?" And I said, "It's here on your phone in the app." And she says, "Oh, I'm definitely using this."
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it was just like
Yeah.
2 seconds. Like,
And if
perfect.
you're a Prime member and you say buy something that you've bought before, it will reorder it for you, and
Yeah.
because of that, it was that easy.
Smart.
And I can order pizza, I can order a car. I mean, I think that's the real
But
interaction.
right. And I think this voice stuff is important because, well, maybe I'm just old. I don't know. For me, it's a little more natural than chatting with an AI. Well, I guess I am chatting with an AI. With text chatting with an AI kind of thing in Skype or messaging or however you might do that, or Facebook Messenger or whatever. It just seems a
I
little
think
weird.
Microsoft, though, they're adding the Project Oxford stuff to their bots. So they're going to let you do the same thing with voice.
Everybody's going to do it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
For some reason, doing it to my phone is not as easy because there's something about the Echo. You're actually just telling the house to do something for you, right?
Yeah.
The presence of the Echo is kind of doesn't matter.
I think the fact that your hands are free, you're doing
Yeah.
maybe you're cooking or
You're cooking.
organizing,
Yeah.
whatever you're doing, and it's the type of conversation you can have when you're doing that kind of thing.
I think that's why the Echo is mostly in people's kitchens, I would guess. You know?
Yeah, that's where we put it.
Yeah. It's kind of the logical place. You use it as a kitchen timer. You can ask. I mean, you can play games. I can do Jeopardy with it.
That's awesome. That's fun.
It's kind of
yeah.
So, but that to me, I think people when they look at chatbots, they don't realize that that's really the future of chatbots. It's the interactivity is important. I don't want maybe kids don't mind typing on their phone because they're really used to it, but I don't really want to do it on the phone. And none of this Siri, Google, or Cortana, none of them really seem to have that kind of ease of interaction.
Right.
So, but I do think Microsoft's got to pay close attention to this. Both Microsoft and Google kind of drop the ball, and Apple too, drop the ball on this.
Yeah. Right. I mean, look, what was the Skype number? 300 million people, right? Any day now, Facebook Messenger is going to pass 1 billion users.
Amazing, isn't it? I mean,
just to put those two platforms in perspective, I mean,
what did he say? 30 billion messages. What was the number?
It was 30 billion messages sent every day. Yeah,
that's twice SMS. That's worldwide, of course, but that's
more than SMS ever. Yeah, ever SMS. Reached at its height. Yeah. Yep.
So, holy cow!
Yeah, that's a platform.
Yep.
Well, and I don't want to give it to Facebook, but you know what? They own it at this point.
Right.
I mean,
billion users.
I personally would prefer it be somebody other than Facebook, but I think most people don't care. And
by the way, that that email story I was talking about, the other half of that coin is to that crowd that can't do email. They think Facebook is for old people, so they're not interested in Facebook either.
It's an opportunity for Snapchat because that's what they use, right?
Yep.
No, Snapchat. I remember Facebook I'm pretty sure Facebook tried to buy Snapchat. I know Google did.
Do they own WhatsApp? Is that Facebook?
They own WhatsApp.
Yep.
WhatsApp.
And WhatsApp is big too. WhatsApp is nearly as big as Messenger, but not. But what's funny is they announced this bot platform for Messenger, but not for WhatsApp.
Right.
I think
they want to go where the money is.
It's so when he talked about this 10-year roadmap, it was kind of interesting to get some insight into his thinking. For instance, one of the things, there has been a lot of speculation about why Facebook bought all those apps and took people out of the big blue app and fragmented it like that.
I still hate that.
Well, he made I think a fairly coherent point that it's for different kinds of sharing. There's group sharing, there's individual sharing, Messenger, there's group sharing, Facebook, there's public sharing, Instagram, which they also own.
They need a government version so you can share a nuclear bomb.
And now for terrorists, it's a very special Facebook message.
Yeah.
It's
an interesting worldview.
Exactly. And this is why I am in this business. I suspect it is, Paul, as well for you. I don't know about Mary Jo.
Because I hate myself?
Yeah.
No,
no, because it's fascinating to watch this unfold.
Yeah.
And
there are moments, you don't usually see these moments coming.
No.
They happen and then you're like, oh, geez, everything's just changed. I mean, I was kind of talking through the PC market and how here we are years in and it's still declining. And people thought like, oh, this is going to kill PCs. That tablets are going to kill PCs. And it's like, you know what killed PCs really? It was the iPhone. The freaking iPhone.
Yeah.
Like ultimately, and the iPhone killed everything. The iPhone killed things that weren't even around when the iPhone was invented.
Yeah, killed everything. The iPhone killed everything.
It really is amazing. And when that thing was announced, don't get me wrong, it was a big deal. I mean, everyone knew it was a big deal, but I don't think anyone saw
but
how...
Steve Ballmer, I might point out, did not know.
He knew it was a big deal. He had to pretend
that was disinformation. Oh, it's too expensive.
Well, it was too expensive. But anyway, the point is...
No, it wasn't.
No, it was. They dropped the price immediately.
Yeah, yeah.
But it just... usually you can only see these things afterwards. I had that moment in the build keynote with the bots, with, for all intents and purposes, it should be horribly boring to me. And I was watching this and I was thinking, wow, this is clearly where things are going. There's no doubt about it. I mean, there's no doubt about it. The question is only whether Microsoft is going to play a major role in that future. And I think they will. But, you see Facebook this week, same thing. When you see what they're doing, you're like, okay, they've got 1 billion users. I mean, they're going to start selling them stuff.
I think we're in one of those rare moments in history when we're on the verge, and I could be wrong, but on the verge of some big transitions.
Yeah.
Yep.
This fact, by the way, this factors into everything we talk about.
Yeah.
It really does because, for example, consider Windows Phone, which, is failing, obviously, but there were all these great ideas. And it's sad that Windows Phone is failing because they had such great ideas. And one of the great ideas they had was this notion of live tiles, where you can just glance at your phone screen and see the weather. You can see your calendar items. You can see your next email. You don't have to go in and out of apps, in and out of apps. iOS and Android, it was just kind of this whack-a-mole UI. Well, now you see this new stuff and you realize, well, yeah, that stuff was cool for that little slice in time. But the truth is, these interactions that we're describing now, whether it's text-based or voice control type things, is far more important than tiles, and is in fact this interaction model that's going to last and be a big deal and will make this other stuff obsolete instantaneously. And so live tiles, I think, historically will be viewed in a very small way because they were a small step up from, icons. But this stuff is a quantum leap forward. It's a generational shift. It's a game changer. It's completely different.
And a lot of what we cover on this show is how Microsoft is responding to this as a mature company in the technology industry, how they find their way in this new world. I mean, that's really what Satya Nadella's job has been for the last 2 years.
Right. And actually, his ability to move quickly and embrace those former competitors, and integrate Microsoft into everything is going to determine whether or not they succeed.
I think we'll look back and say this was a good strategy, although it must be painful.
Oh,
at this point.
I can assure you it's painful.
Yeah. Mary Jo, are you still, what did you replaced the 5X, right?
Yep. I'm running a Nexus 6P now.
Nice. Do you like it?
I do.
Yeah, I think that's a
I
nice
like
phone.
it.
You should look at the new HTC 10, which is just emerging.
I did. I thought that looked nice.
Looks really interesting. And, of course, the Galaxy S7.
Yeah.
But you've got Pure Google, which is probably for what you do.
It's perfect what she wants because what she really wants is to replace everything with Microsoft stuff.
Right.
Which is what I've done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't want to confuse Carrier Cruft
No.
with Android or
with
whatever.
Android. Right.
Yeah.
I think the 6
Plus,
6
I
is
actually
good.
can use this on Verizon.
Yeah, right. You can't. The
Which is-
HTC, not. I think you have to buy it from Verizon to use it on Verizon.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a wonderful time to be alive.
If you like roller coaster
Or on death's door if you're Mary Jo. No, you're feeling good. I'm hoping you're all right.
Yep,
Your prognosis is good, right?
it is.
You're right.
I'm going to
Do you
be
have an IV
around.
drip attached to your arm, or
They
she
didn't-
walks around with one of those stands?
I mean, if you're just listening, that might be your natural conclusion. As Mary Jo
It's true.
is right on the edge here.
Right. It was the
So
bots.
is
they
it
just
the
sent me
Zika
over.
virus?
They
Is that
did, yeah. But you have viral bronchitis, and but you're
Yeah.
slowly coming back.
I am.
Good. Well, I'm glad to have you back. We're going to take a break and get back on track because I completely derailed the show. And I apologize. You know me. I always dessert first. Life is short.
I notice you have 127 items on the list. Let's talk about something else.
Right. Exactly.
No, that's fine.
Hey, coming up, Alcantara, the fabric of our lives. Believe it or not, we are going to talk about that.
We are.
Talking about how things have changed here at Microsoft Central.
Our show today is brought to you by those good folks at FreshBooks. We're big fans of FreshBooks. Everybody who's ever worked as a freelancer will appreciate the value of something that makes it easier to send out your invoices. I know I did, and I think this was more than 10 years ago now. Yeah, it was. It was like 2004 when they had just started, and I was still going to Canada for 1 week a month, and I had to bill Rogers Communications in Canada for my airfare, my hotel, my meals, my day rate. It was all in Canadian dollars, and it was such a nightmare. And frankly, often I just wouldn't bill them at the end of the month. But you know what I learned? You don't bill, you don't get paid. Interesting. Causality, huh? However, Amber MacArthur told me about FreshBooks, and that really changed things for me. FreshBooks made it easy to do professional-looking invoices, made it even easier to fill those invoices out. If you use the FreshBooks app on your smartphone, you can keep track of time and hours. I didn't have to do that, but if you bill by the hour, that's awesome. You could take pictures of receipts, automatically import them into your expense report, or if you don't get reimbursed for expenses, your taxes. Tax time's coming. Now it's too late for this year, but for next year, this is something you should keep in mind. You can also, it handles currencies, every currency, no problem. And the invoice, now they'll mail an invoice if you insist. And some old-fashioned clients want a paper invoice. Most of them, you send them an email invoice with a big pay me button on it. They actually pay you right away. Because you know what? Paying bills is just as bad as making the bills. No one wants. It's not that they don't mind. They don't begrudge you the money. It's like another chore that is off the purpose of the business. And that's the point. You're in business. You're a freelancer because you love what you do, and you want to do it. But you want to get paid, but you don't want to spend time doing books. FreshBooks does it for you. 5 million small business owners feel exactly the same way I do when they discovered FreshBooks. It's the dead simple cloud accounting software transforming how you handle your paperwork. Literally 30 seconds to invoice and another few seconds to your client, and sometimes 30 seconds to get paid. You think about getting paid and you get paid in a minute. How much would you pay? Isn't that great? On average, FreshBooks users get paid 5 days faster, and they spend many hours a month, many fewer hours a month doing the paperwork. There's a great, super handy deposit feature. A lot of clients will do this. You can invoice for payment up front as you kick off a project, and then it's held in escrow, and you get paid out as you do this stuff. Everybody prefers this. It's just easy. Your clients pay you online if they want, and that's easier for them. You can check FreshBooks to see when the invoice went out, if it's been paid. If it hasn't been paid, FreshBooks can send automatic reminders and handle it in a diplomatic but effective way. Don't forget they've got a chip card reader now. So if your business takes you to people's homes, you can do the whole thing on your iPhone. You launch the FreshBooks app. You give them an estimate. You show the client the estimate. They sign off on the estimate. You do the work. Install the home theater, whatever it is. Show them, make the invoice before you leave. Show them the bill. They go, okay. You pop in the EMV reader. They can dip the chip or swipe the stripe. You're paid, and then you go home, and they're all there on premises. It's so easy to get started. I want you to try it for 30 days free. FreshBooks.com/Windows. And do us a favor, Mary Jo and Paul a favor. Just put Windows Weekly. When they ask, how did you hear about us? Put Windows Weekly. That way they'll know. And that's nice. I mean, we don't get paid more for that, but it's just nice for them to know that it was Paul and Mary Jo that sent you. FreshBooks.com/Windows. And don't forget to put, I heard it on Windows Weekly. When they ask, try it free for 30 days. Paul Thurrott, Mary Jo Foley. I don't know. I tried to give you enough time to reboot and install the software. Did you get is there any?
I didn't see any way to control the
somebody told me that there isn't anyway. So
yeah,
I'm sorry I sent you on that wild goose chase. So if you're watching the video, you probably notice Paul's a little herky-jerky. It's not his fault.
It's not caffeine.
All right, now to the top of the roadmap here. And speaking of roadmaps, Microsoft has published one for Windows 10 for Business. Mary Jo, Paul, what's the story?
This was kind of a surprise. They published this over the weekend, this past weekend, on their website on Microsoft.com, and I first saw it through the Walking Cat, our buddy who finds all kinds of good stuff for us for Microsoft. And it's a roadmap like what they do for Office 365 and for Edge and for Visual Studio. It lists features for business users that they recently made available. Then it has separate sections for things that are in preview and things that are in development. So there were a few things in here that we maybe
several
heard
things
about at Build, but just kind of passed by us quickly.
Oh, I think okay. I'm sorry. There was many things on here that we had never heard of. I think.
Yep.
Yeah. Picture-in-picture support.
Picture-in-picture was the one I noticed that I had never heard of.
PC to PC casting. This was sort of telegraphed in a way. Last year when we saw the Surface Hub for the first time, it has this unique advance over Miracast, where you can Miracast into Surface Hub, display the remote computer's display in a window, which is picture-in-picture, but then interact with it on the Surface Hub display, which is two-way Miracast, bidirectional Miracast. That feature is that in there? Yeah, maybe that's not even in there. I'm sorry. There is. Right? The remote.
Yeah, the Cortana that you can use without Miracast. That's also listed in there. I mean, not Cortana, Continuum.
Yeah, so this is all kind of interesting. I mean, it's like using the Windows 10 PC as a remote projection screen. You know, is kind of cool, because you could use that with your Windows Phone with Continuum, for example. Touch screen support through Continuum, stuff like that. And so this list came out, like she said, came out of nowhere. And it was, Saturday morning, I'm playing Call of Duty and I'm thinking life is good. And nope, something to write here. I mean, it was kind of interesting. It just came out of nowhere.
You know what? One thing I saw a bunch of people say, this is the list of what will be in the anniversary update. But if you really look at that roadmap, it never says that.
Right. So some of this will be. Some
of it will. Some of it will not.
Some could be Redstone 2. Some might never happen. There's even a spot at the end where they, reserve the right to cancel some of the features and all that. I suppose it's possible some of these things will appear before the anniversary update, although I don't know what the incentive for that is.
Yeah.
But it was a surprisingly long list. I mean, and
it was.
I'm sure some of these things, or a lot of these things, have business implications. I mean, some of them seem very consumer oriented. So it's a pretty broad list. And, again, begs the question. We went to Build. They announced 4 or 5 new features in the anniversary edition. We learned a lot more within just days. Yeah. And now, then a week later, we got this gigantic list.
Why even have Build if you're not going to tell everybody what's going on?
It's crazy. Right? Yeah.
I know. It reminded me, because right after Build, I went to another Microsoft show, Envision, in New Orleans, which is their business show.
Yeah.
And they barely talked about anything to do with the Dynamics business there. And then this week, they announced a major update to Dynamics. It was just weird. It's like, wait, you had a show where you could have just done this. Kind of like the Windows thing, right?
I mean, if you look at Build as a developer show, which it is, and then you look at this list of Windows 10 anniversary update features, which of these would be of most interest to developers? I think I would have made some different choices, honestly. I mean, like the Windows Ink thing makes plenty of sense. I mean, this is something developers can add to their apps. But I look at some of the other stuff on here, and it's like, well, hold on a second. I mean, a lot of this would be really interesting to developers. Yeah. And, they picked what they picked. I don't know.
It might be because some of the things on the list of in development aren't going to make it into the anniversary update.
Yeah, and maybe they can't be shown at this point in a way that would make sense.
Yeah. But then, even if you look at what is on the list of in public preview, which is what I would assume is going to make it into anniversary update, so extensions for Edge is there.
Yep.
But then there's another feature. They have one session on it, Build, Enterprise Data Protection, which is like one of the major features they talked about for Windows 10 back in 2014. It has not been available to testers until now. And they didn't really even mention that at Build.
Right.
And that just seems weird, because it is now in the latest Insider Build, so you can test it. But why didn't they talk about it? I'm curious why they didn't. Yeah. So yeah, if you haven't seen the roadmap, go check it out, because it also, besides just listing the features, it has links to some TechNet documentation on some of these things that we didn't know about.
Yeah, great.
It also has this little key on the roadmap that shows you which form factors are going to get each of these features. And that's kind of surprising in a couple of cases about some of the embedded devices that are going to get things like enterprise data protection. And then other devices that you might think would get something, and it's not on the list. So it's worth combing through that for sure.
Yeah.
And, the reason I thought of this and Facebook in the same breath is it's interesting to see these roadmaps. Are they aspirational, or what is it? I mean, with Facebook, it was aspirational. Is this like plans?
Yeah, I mean, you have to kind of look at it in the context of the people running this part of Microsoft, right? This is something we never would have seen from Steven Snofsky's Windows team, right? This is right. I mean, and this is something we would have seen from Jim Alchin's team. Like, this is the type of thing that they want people to get excited about the future. Whereas you could kind of make the argument that when you make people too excited about the future, they stop buying the product today and they wait for the next thing. So, you know, there's a balance that needs to occur. I prefer this kind of disclosure. Like we said, I think it's odd the way they've chosen to relay this information. Mary Jo mentioned some TechNet sites. There are also some MSDN sites that have gone live just in the past couple of days that describe other Windows 10 features coming in anniversary update. And it's like, there's no rhyme or reason to how these things they just appear one day on the web. And
like the other one, controlling your PC with the band.
Yeah.
They didn't really talk about that, right?
They didn't talk about that at all. In fact,
No.
the notion, you know, Google, I think, has something like this, I think, between Chrome OS and Android, I believe, where you can, you know, the presence of the Android smartphone allows you to unlock the computer or something like that. I mean, this is something that companies are working on.
That's how it works, yeah.
Microsoft was doing this with Windows 10 Mobile, makes sense. Microsoft is doing this with Android. That also kind of makes sense. We know now Android has a kind of a heightened state of existence inside the Microsoft ecosystem. Nothing about Band 2, but then when you hear about it, you know, in the context of this roadmap, you're like, right, of course. And this is the kind of ecosystem integration functionality that is exactly what Microsoft should be doing as a platform maker. You know, the benefit of owning a Microsoft band is this kind of integration. It's great. It's a great idea.
Yeah. But again, my question, this is all stuff you think they're going to do. This is not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I think the majority of this does happen between now, you know, with the release of the anniversary edition, if not a little earlier.
Yeah.
Look, Enterprise Data Protection was designed for RTM version of Windows 10. It didn't make it into 15.11. It's going to happen in Anniversary Edition, but some of these other features may fall into the same little hole. I mean, things happen. You find a problem late in the game, you have to cancel it or push it back to the next release. That's what happens, you know. But I do think this is their intention. I think there's also other things we haven't heard about. You know, pure consumer features, for example.
Yeah.
That they're planning for this release.
The one on the list that I'm doubtful is going to make it into Anniversary is that Windows Defender Advanced Threat Protection Service. I've heard
that seemed like late in the year, didn't it?
Yeah,
the way they described it originally.
later in the year. So
yeah,
that might
like
not
past.
make it.
Yep. Right. And, you know, but late in the year is also not Redstone 2, right? So that sort of suggests this is something that could happen within the life cycle, for lack of a better term, of Anniversary Update, that, you know, after that thing ships and maybe before Redstone 2 ships, this will happen late in 2016, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's sort of what I mean. Like, I don't think these things are all necessarily tied to Anniversary Update.
No. The ones, though, again, that I am really surprised we didn't hear more about at Build. I found there was a session at Build called Continuum for Phone. It was like a 30-minute side session at Build.
Oh, it wasn't. It was just a theater thing. I know the one you're talking. Yeah, it wasn't even a session. Yeah.
No, and there was tons of stuff about Continuum that I think shows you, you know, whenever people go, "Oh, Windows Mobile's dead." Well, if you look at the list of features here, they're really interesting. I just wonder if they're this year. I think maybe they're going to be tied to the new Windows phones if they come next year.
I still think this is that Continuum stuff is why they could have very easily had Windows phones be part of that keynote, be part of the show, and just, you know, you don't have to do a big thing about it, but you mention it. You know, there are advantages to being in the Microsoft ecosystem. You're going to be able to use your Windows 10 mobile phone to automatically log into your PC. You know, you're going to be able to use your Microsoft Band to do the same thing. Why would you not mention that?
Right.
They're so busy putting iPhones up on the stage. It's like, guys, you know,
I mean, it may be because, you know, like we heard Terry Myerson say at Build, it's not really our focus this year. So don't give people false hope for this year. It might be your focus for next year.
But it's still a number of items in this list. It doesn't have to be your focus. It's still part of what you're doing. We could have avoided a lot of very ugly feelings on both sides of the fence if they had just thrown those guys a bone. You know, it's too bad.
If you haven't seen it, it's worth going on to Channel 9 and look under the build 2016 for the Continuum for Phone session and just watch that.
I did.
You'll
by
be
the way,
really
I wrote up something
surprised
about
what
it.
you see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I also, and based on how cool it was, I actually connected my Continuum dock again, played with it for a little while, and then kind of, just wrote about it again. Like, this is, it's worth revisiting this topic because it's really kind of interesting.
I'm looking at the Continuum thing. They mentioned their two phones. They don't mention the HP, for instance.
Well, yeah. The HP will work in exactly the same way.
Yeah.
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 And
There really aren't too many phones that work that way, right? Continuum capable phones.
It's not automatic with any Windows phone.
No, it has to be a new phone that came with Windows 10 Mobile. It has to have a certain chipset. I think the 900, 950 work. The 550 does not. The 650 does not either. But there's a mid-level chipset that they support. So there will be, I don't know, the Jade Primo or whatever the other phones are. There's a few of them that will support it. The HP's one. But if you have a previous flagship that you would think would be capable of this, like a 930, an Icon, a 1520, actually probably just those phones. Those won't work. You can't get Continuum on those phones.
Yeah, see, I wonder, there's a lot of talk about Surface phones. When you look at the 950 and 950 XL, I mean, how would a Surface phone be any different than this, really?
Well, Leo, it would say Surface on it.
Yeah. But, I mean, that may be meaningful to you and me, but I don't know if customers care at all about that, right?
In the sense that it's easier to give advice than it is to take it, the things I try to point out to people, because I am, of course, wishing for a Surface phone in many ways, is that the Surface phone made of magnesium with a type cover, even with a pen support, whatever it might be. Like, this thing doesn't solve the central problem of Windows Phone, right? That there are no apps. And I don't understand how we overcome that. And, people point to Continuum. Well, Continuum's the future. It's like a PC in your pocket and yada, yada, yada. Yes, but it's also not solving the central problem of Windows Phone. There are no apps on the phone. If you can figure out some way to get Windows apps to run through this phone remotely or whatever it is, and you can do it on a PC and it's a seamless experience, that's great. But at some point you undock that thing and you go out in the world and you have to park at the MBTA station, or you have to buy tickets for the train, or you want to, use it to go onto JetBlue, and none of those apps exist on Windows Phone. And those are the types of apps that people need and want out in the real world. And everyone has their own example of 1 to a dozen apps that are just like that aren't on Windows Phone. And that's the chicken egg problem with Windows Phone. It's the problem that Surface Phone can never solve. Unless they go full on Android.
Yeah. More and more, especially after I watched that Continuum for Phone session, I wonder if the thing we're all calling Surface Phone is actually more like the Surface Mini that Microsoft killed.
Yep.
And it's more of a mini handheld device than it is a phone.
Which can make phone calls, but that's not the primary point.
Right. Because the whole gist of why you'd want Continuum isn't because of it being a phone. It's because of it being a computer. It's
right.
You know what I'm saying? Yep. It's more that kind of a device, and the interesting parts of it are because it's a computer, not because it's a phone.
I mean, the problem is you can kind of deconstruct this like any way along the way. Like, we talked about that Next Dock thing, which is really kind of interesting and everything. But if you're going to travel and put a Next Dock laptop thing in a bag and put your phone in the bag, I mean, why not just bring a Windows computer, or a laptop? I mean, if we live in an age where it doesn't make sense to have any data that is tied locally to one computer. Everything syncs through something. You can use, Microsoft has OneDrive and OneDrive for Business. There's Dropbox, there's other services and so forth. With not much effort at all, it should be possible for virtually anyone these days to leave their computer at home, get on a plane, travel to some other city, open their phone, and access the document that's in the cloud and do those same small edits you might do on the phone, and then use a real computer when you want to do serious computing tasks. My worry for Continuum is that people are getting a little too excited by something that doesn't necessarily solve the problem. It's cool.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there are people in IT in particular that want to put the genie back in the bottle on BYOD or whatever, and specify once again that you will use the device we want you to use, not that iPhone, not that Android thing, whatever. And I just don't think we're going back. I don't think. You know what I mean? There's a huge and very interesting conversation around Continuum. It's very exciting. But it should be depressing to anyone who cares about Windows Phone to understand that this would be a lot more interesting if it wasn't Windows Phone. Like almost any other system would be more interesting from a Continuum perspective. And it's too bad.
Well,
that's my daily my daily dose of depression for everybody. Enjoy.
Thanks for sharing.
Paul Thurrott's daily.
Is there
dose
anything
of
else
doom.
I can poke holes in?
Yes. Well, let's talk about Windows 10.
Yes.
I got my bash. I got my insider update. Got my bash.
How does it make you feel about Windows now?
Yeah, it's...
So let me ask you a question. I haven't tried it yet. When you run bash, is bash a standalone thing that you run in a window, or do you actually go to a command line window and then run bash and it runs inside that window?
The latter.
Okay.
So you still have to open the command line, at least after the... You know what? I should check.
You run
because
bash,
and then you
bash
type bash. Yeah. I mean, that was how I haven't done it since installing
So it's almost like bash has been implemented as a command line utility.
It is, basically. Yeah. And then once you're in bash, let me try it again. Let me see if I can just do bash.
It's weird. So in other words, you don't.
No, I can now. Okay, so that was part of the install. You install from the DOS command or whatever they call that thing now.
Yep,
the DOS command prompt. But now you can just Windows key bash and it launched bash. Your root, which is weird, and I haven't really kind of started to play with the idea of creating. Let me just see if I can create a new user.
But are you able to customize this environment so that the text window that comes up for bash is whatever color scheme, font sizes, whatever, that kind of thing?
That's a good question, too. Right now, it's, let's see, properties. Yeah, I can make the cursor big.
Okay. I
can change the font. I can make it a bigger font. I can change the layout a little bit, and colors. You can change the colors too, so that's nice. In fact, I can even, this is a very Linuxy or Unixy kind of geek thing. You can change the opacity of the command line. So
there you go. Yep.
So you can kind of see behind the prompt.
The real reason everyone wants to use Mac OS 10.
Yeah, transparent
terminal windows.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It's the future.
Like
I have to say.
Here's $1,800.
Yeah, it's definitely the future here. No, but I haven't really played with it. I saw that somebody figured out a way to get a GUI working.
Yep.
Yeah,
a hack, of course, but
Yep.
sure.
What's the root of this window?
Let's see. That's a good question. You're saying what directory?
Yeah,
are
the
you
root
in?
of this environment. I guess.
Yeah, you're in /root. What?
/root, but where is that?
Well, let's see. It would be C:\root, I guess. That's weird. So if I do an ls, that's not where I was the last time. So I have to play with this a little more. Like I'm sure if I create a new user, it'll be in maybe /home. But that's not where I was last time. I was in Leo La. So
yeah, right. So the root would be like the root of your user directory.
Right, I guess. No, root. I don't know. It's hard to say. I made it transparent. Now I can't read it.
Stupid transparent windows.
stupid transparent windows. I have to play with this more. I mean, I would guess that you could do.
Is that a little Ubuntu icon up in the top left of that thing?
Yes, as a matter of fact, it is. Yes, that is. Yeah. Yeah. They probably insisted on that, right?
I think I just threw up in my mouth.
Well, let me see if I can install Emacs. That's really going to be the real test, right? Sudo.
Sure.
Actually, I don't have to do sudo. I'm root. apt get Emacs -Nox. I won't get the X Windows version. No, can't do it. So I don't know exactly.
What if you just type Emacs?
Maybe it's already installed. Wouldn't that be hysterical? No, it can't. But you can be fine. So let's. Oh, I forgot the word installed. Darn it. apt-get install. You can. In fact, if you type Emacs, it says, "Oh, helpfully, would you like Emacs 24, Emacs 24 Nox? Which version would you like?" So I'm going to do Emacs 24 Nox. Oh, I put installs with an S. This is why the command line is so great. And yeah, it's actually installing Emacs from the command line. That'll be fun. So no, I think that a lot of people this is kind of what they want. Not Paul, obviously.
Well, right.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people who are excited.
I'm very
tell you.
excited because there's a whole tool chain that is available to you
Sure.
that isn't available to you on Windows, that is available to you on the Mac or Linux. And there are a lot of developers who like those particular tools. Doesn't mean they're not developing for Windows. They just want those tools.
Yeah, and Mary Jo, if you find that Notepad.exe is a little too limiting, there was a whole world of Unix text editors.
VI, baby.
I've
You're going
heard.
to love it. You're going to love
Everyone says I should switch, but
Gedit. Start
Sure.
using Gedit. All right, let's see.
By the way, I mean the ability to
Look at
type
that.
in like an actual text
Look at
screen, like
that.
yeah.
I'm in,
I mean, it's
I'm in
very.
the-
I don't recommend the transparent window thing, but
No, I'm going to change that right now. Let's see. Control HT.
I went through an
the
Emacs
tutorial.
phase. I mean, I think we all did.
We all
you know,
did. It's
before
when
I
you're
discovered
young and ignorant.
before I discovered girls. But you know,
there it is. That's it, man. And I presume VI and Nano and Pico and Gedit and all that stuff.
yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. Let's see what else here. Yeah, so you just do an apt-get. I gotta see if I can add user, because I don't want to be the root always. Yeah, I did. So okay, don't look. I'm gonna enter my password.
everyone look away.
Look away, please. Ever notice people do that?
Yep.
Look away.
They
Yeah.
look away to show. It's very polite, very Japanese, very polite. Like, oh, I must avert my eyes.
Yep.
It's nice. Passwords do not match. Oh, whoops. Bad typing. Now, there are people listening who can
I
figure...
saw people this week on Twitter saying, when are we going to get Bash on Windows Server?
that may be even more useful, right?
That's what people were saying. They're like,
Well,
if they've got it on client.
We asked Terry Morrison that, didn't we? I think we did.
Did we ask
and
him
I don't remember the context of this, but somebody told me or us that it was a client tool, not a server tool, that it didn't make sense to be on the server because you could access server from the client. I thought that was Terry Morrison. I will look. I have notes and whatnot. No, of course, let's see. Jeez, my screen is flashing now.
So you can. I don't know why it doesn't do this. It should do this. It should start by creating a user account. Your start as root. But I guess if you're smart enough to be using Bash on Windows, you probably can know enough to add a user and so forth.
So this is from my notes with the Terry Morrison conversation. He says, client doesn't need Hadoop. The client needs Bash. It was sort of like server world is getting containers. You'll see a manifestation of that same technology on the client. Shares a lot of the same code, but is not a container. I don't know. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
So the person who ran X on it, Mary Jo, was that a unapproved hack that will be quickly turned off, or is it just they figured it out?
I wonder if they'll turn it off or they'll just say, you know what, if you really want to do that,
Figure it
go
out.
ahead.
Yeah, more power to
yeah.
you. It didn't take long, and of course
No,
it
it
makes sense.
took like a week.
Yeah, because that's
Yeah.
It's funny.
not surprising, really.
Khalid on Twitter says the folder that is root is C users, username, app data, local, LXSS. So it's buried in that hidden folder structure under your user account.
So that's why you don't. It's not really C:/\.
Right. It probably has a virtualized file system. It's probably just a subset of it. Well, no.
maybe that's
You should be able to do the whole thing, though. So how would you?
No, but I can CD. Let's see, CD.
Yeah, you should be able to CD. Can you go to the CD drive?
Well,
The
I
C
don't have a
drive,
CD
rather.
drive because I'm using a modern computer.
I meant the C. Sorry. Sorry. I haven't really thought about the file system in recent years.
No, C: does nothing.
C. Okay.
Let's see.
You can't like LSC colon or something.
CD/dev, or let's do an LS on.
No, they have like virtual folders for drives
Yeah,
in Unix, like C.
Yeah,
or
I see it.
something.
I see it. It's in the dev folder.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like, yeah. If you're, you know what, if you're a neckbeard, you could probably figure this all out. Yep.
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 boy.
Yeah, here it is. In under mount, there's C. Okay, CD, MNT, C, LS. Yeah. So what you do is you change to the /mount/C directory, and you're on the root. That's the
Sure.
C. Yep. And then I can go CD users, and I can see me, Leola. That's my unfortunate name on this.
Sung to the tune of Lola.
I didn't really get a chance, Leola. And yeah, there's all my stuff. So that's kind of interesting. Yeah, you can. So the key is to go to MNT C, and you have the C.
See, I had this sort of vestigial memory of that.
Yeah. Remember
And
those
that's great,
good old days?
because now I've forgotten one of my kids' childhood moments. So thank you.
Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah.
Good to remember.
Something had to be pushed out.
Yeah.
And now look, I can Emacs autoexec.bat. That's the moment we've all been waiting for.
Awesome.
Anyway,
Right.
yeah, I haven't played for it.
Win
much.
any, Leo.
Yeah, I haven't. Yeah, this is actually quite cool. So I'm going to modify my user account so it points to there and logs in there. So yeah, it's fun. It's fun. Anyway, anywho, how did we get there? I forgot. Windows 10 for PCs and mobile devices, 105.86.218. Come
I just
on
wanna point
down.
out, we're 90 minutes into this, and this is the second thing on the list.
I know.
Okay,
Let's whip
hustle
through
through
the
it.
Windows 10.
No, it's
Hustle
just
through
funny.
it.
You
You got another hour. You got another hour.
Yeah.
No problem.
How do we handle this story? I mean, so Microsoft released a cumulative update, as they do every month, I guess, with the Patch Tuesday stuff, for both Windows 10 for PCs and mobile.
Was that yesterday or?
It was
Yeah.
yesterday. Yep.
Yeah.
This is the shipping version of Windows 10. In other words, not Redstone. This is
Ooh.
what's out. The one that's out. There's no new features per se. Although I think the mobile one might have some minor new features, but on the PC one, it's really just fixes for the most part. They added, yeah. I mean, it's small. These things all really fall into the fixes and improvements kind of category.
It's part of Patch Tuesday, right? So it's
Yep.
a bunch of that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So we bumped the build number up to 10.586.218. Meaning they've taken 218 tries to get this thing.
Get RTM right.
Now this is weird. So I turned on the Insider fast ring to get the bash prompt, and
Didn't get it right away.
as you said, and you warned me, take a day, and I did. I got it the next day. Now I have a system hardware update, but it says it's from 217.
Oh, that's because you're running Surface. Yeah, so that's a Surface firmware update.
But didn't I already have that? I did.
You could have, but maybe it's
reinstall that.
Yeah. Firmware. Well, I said system hardware update, but we call these things firmware updates for some reason. I think
this
a
is
lot of
that
people.
one that was supposed to fix everything, but didn't.
Yeah. The problem is you think that because you install it before, you'll never have to install it again.
'cause
But it's really just software
Just
update.
software. Okay.
So, yeah, you have a new OS. It needs to be applied. And maybe the OS itself, by going to Insider, overwrite some stuff from the original one. And enough of that happened. You have to reinstall the update.
Well, I'm restarting. I'm going to reinstall it.
All right, we'll see you when you get back.
Yep. Bye-bye. Have a wonderful day.
Yep. I'm going to reinstall the OS on this thing and see if it fixes my video problem.
Yeah.
I had a good 2 months with it, so that was good.
What are you on now? What are you using these days?
A NUC thing.
Oh,
I've
you're
never really
using a
had any
NUC.
problems with it. The past couple of days, the video's been a little wonky. Yeah.
All right. Windows 10 November update is now the current branch for business release.
Yeah. That's actually good news, because until last week, if you were on the current branch for business, which is what a lot of people who are in enterprises are on, it's what they announced when they announced Windows Update for Business, you were still on the RTM version from July, basically. But now, as of last week, Microsoft said the November update is now considered the latest current branch for business candidate. So they're going to be moving people who are on the current branch for business to that over the coming weeks. We knew it was going to be slower. That's the whole idea of being on current branch for business instead of current branch. But I guess I didn't know how much slower it would be. And for businesses, this is probably a good pace. Not too fast. You're just getting the November update now, coming to you through your various
Not too
update
sweet,
channels.
not too salty.
Not too salty, not too fast, not too slow. You're going to get November update with all the new features and fixes and such that were part of that. So I have in my blog post and Microsoft's blog post also kind of the things you should be thinking about if you're an IT manager and you're going to be moving your organization to current branch for business. There's a lot of different things to think about in terms of when it goes to Windows Server Update services, or if you're using Configuration Manager, when you're going to get it. So it's worth checking out the posts about that, just so you know when to expect this to start to roll out.
Cool.
That's all I have to say about CBB.
CBB. How about Centennial?
How about Centennial?
What is that?
Centennial is the bridge that we heard about last year at Build for moving the Win32 and .NET apps to the Windows Store. And Microsoft talked quite a bit about this at Build, which was good. They talked about how they were going to have this thing called Desktop App Converter, which is the formal name for Centennial. They were converting people's apps, like Raphael's app at the show, to show developers how easy it was to do. And this over the past couple of days, they actually made the Desktop App Converter, which is Centennial, available to developers for download. So you can get a preview of that now if you want to try getting your app into the Windows Store, your existing legacy app. I call them legacy apps. People got mad when I said that. You can call them classic apps if you want. I basically
don't like that either.
yeah, .NET, Win32 apps that you want to move over to the store.
Well, they're not modern apps, right?
They're not modern
there
apps. Right.
Universal Windows Platform app features that are unavailable to Win32 unless you go through this process, and then you can add them after the fact. So,
you know, I'm going to do at some point I'll do a how-to on this bash thing, and not only show people how to turn it on, but you know, you shouldn't just be left at root. You really, it's really not good.
Sure.
And I'm trying to see if Microsoft has documented this anywhere.
Cleo, this is Microsoft baby steps on the Unix stuff.
All those screenshots they show have people running it as root, which is really not what you want to be doing. So
what could go wrong?
What could possibly
You're
go
smart.
Yeah, it's an interesting choice, but that's a very Windowsy thing.
Yeah.
Oh, you can be administrator. What? That's fine.
We try.
I will. I will probably want to read more about this and give people some best practices who are new to the command line. That'd be kind of fun, actually. We'll do that on the new screensavers. I'll let you know. Let's see. Cortana for Windows 10 now supports instant translations in more languages.
Yeah, and actually, this I think is important to that bot conversation we had earlier, because this is part of that back-end piece that makes Microsoft's cloud platform so exciting. Back in September, they added Microsoft Translator functionality to Cortana, and I think to Skype at that time, and but it only worked in the U.S. with English and in China with Chinese. As far as the language you could type in and then get translations for it. There's some 40 some odd languages it will translate to. And so this week, last night or today, they added support for, why don't I see the list? Here we go. I'm sorry. French, German, Italian, and Spanish localized versions of Windows 10, meaning from those languages, you can get translations to all those other languages. So kind of a big change there. And, it's in Windows. It's going to be in Windows Phone. It's in Office. It's in Skype. It's in Bing. You can get a standalone Microsoft Translator app. This is that world where you go, you're traveling and you point your camera at a menu and it automatically translates everything for you on the fly. I mean, it's just, this is that future. This is the thing we've been talking about, how everything's changing. It's amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Cortana in a way is a bot too, but I think the real way to look at it is more like a front end to bots.
Yeah, like a concierge kind of thing.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Like Cortana's capabilities expand by connecting to basically what we might have said a year ago is other services, but essentially other bots, that it becomes more powerful. And this is that thing I was talking about with text message-based bot type interactions where you're interacting with Cortana with a bunch of stuff on the back end. You're not interacting with one brand, you know? Like you can say to Cortana, I want to get an Uber, which is a brand, obviously. But you don't have to start a new chat with the Uber bot. You know, it's you're just interacting with Cortana.
Edge, Flash.
Yeah.
Hello.
In that order, please.
You know, it's a long journey to get rid of Flash.
Oh, the journey is the reward, though.
It is. And we've been speaking about Windows 10 anniversary update. So another thing that's coming to the anniversary update is with the version of Edge that's going to be in there. The team said that they're going to make it so Edge will auto-pause content, Flash content that's not central to the web page when you use Edge in the anniversary update, which will be great. It's a step. It's something Google already does with Chrome. And, you know, they're advertising this as a way to reduce power consumption, improve performance. Also, it won't be playing the annoying Flash ads and other Flash content unless you click on them and you want to play them. So it's a step along the journey. They said the ultimate goal still is to get rid of Flash in the browser. We still look forward to a future one day where Flash is no longer necessary as part of Edge. When that day will be, we don't know, but they're getting closer, which is a good thing.
Yep.
And Windows Unlock. I'm just running down the list here. You can stop me if you want to.
No, that's. I mean, we kind of highlighted this earlier. I pulled it out here, not thinking we were going to talk about it earlier. But this is that notion of securely signing into Windows 10 with another device, meaning a Windows 10 mobile
like
handset.
that. Yeah, I would love that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It's so obvious.
As you said, you can do that on Android and Chrome.
Yep. Now you can do it on a big boy OS.
Yeah, that's a fairly secure thing. Although I have to say, more and more laptops now have fingerprint readers, which is probably the better.
I love
way to
fingerprint
go.
readers, but I think we can all agree this is better than a picture password.
Yes. Yes. Or a 4-digit PIN.
Yeah.
Let's take a break. We're going to come back, talk about OneDrive, and yes, the fabric of our lives.
Which, by the way, Mary Jo wrote that, not.
I like it.
I know. I think it's great. I'm just saying you
Credit where
might
credit's
expect
due.
that was something I would write.
It does sound like it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Rich Corinthian Alcantara.
Exactly.
I know about Alcantara because I paid a considerable premium for an Alcantara headliner in my Audi.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I don't really know why I did.
Yeah, because it's not like you touch it. You know, hopefully.
Well, you know, you might brush up against it once in a while.
Yeah.
I think I did the same thing on my Tesla. I can't remember. Our show today brought to you by ZipRecruiter. If you are, and it's far too many R's to roll them. ZipRecruiter. If you are the person in charge of hiring at your place of business, maybe you are your place of business, and you need some help, you got to check out ZipRecruiter. See, the issue is you want the right person, right? And I think we can presume the right person's out there somewhere. The problem is where, like which job board are they on? How do you reach them? Well, ZipRecruiter's great because you post once and it posts it to more than 100 job boards plus the social networks like Twitter and Facebook and Craigslist and LinkedIn. So you're really reaching out, kind of maximizing your purview here, giving you a much better chance of reaching the right person. Maybe there's 2 right people, maybe there's 3, but you want to get resumes from all of them. So you go to ZipRecruiter. With one click of the mouse, you're posting everywhere. You can find candidates in any city, any industry, anywhere in the country. And then the nice thing is, well, first off, the first thing they do is they match you against their current database of resumes, over 6 million resumes now, because people go to ZipRecruiter as well to look for work. So within 24 hours, you're already getting some hits, and then within another day or two, they're rolling in, and they're not rolling into your inbox or your phone, which would be a nightmare with something like this. They roll into the ZipRecruiter interface, which is designed to streamline the whole process to make it very quick and easy for you to rank them, screen out people you don't want, rank the rest, pick the right person. It's all about hiring the right person. A company is only as good as the people in the company. And, lately there have been a lot of articles about how, Silicon Valley workers are the new serfs and they're disposable. I completely disagree. I don't know how we got in that position, but really every single employee is vital to your company, and they can bring it up or they can bring it down, and you want to get that right person. Find out why ZipRecruiter is being used now by almost 1 million businesses. I mean, it is really popular. We love it. You're going to love it too, so that's why we got a free trial for you if you go to ZipRecruiter.com/Windows. You try this at least once, okay? ZipRecruiter.com/Windows, and lift your company up with the right person in the right job. ZipRecruiter.com/Windows. That's how I found Paul Thurrott and Mary Jo Foley. No, I didn't.
ZipRecruiter.
ZipRecruiter. That'd be cool if I could say that, but truthfully, no. I don't know how I found them. You found Mary Jo. I found you. I don't remember. I think you know what I did, and this is, we're episode 461, so this is almost 10 years ago, right?
Yep.
I to myself, I said, self, who's the name? You know who the name is in Macintosh, but who's the name in Windows? And you were the name, Paul Thurrott. It's like, that's the guy.
I was crack-a-lackin' back then.
No, you know why? Because of what happens a lot with trade press, especially, is you get sycophants. Right. And I didn't want somebody who was just going to say, "I love this. This is great." Oh, you're going to
like Mary Jo?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
No, we got two people who have minds of their own, and that's why people like Chris Capicella listen. They don't need to listen to sycophants. They want to hear what people have something to say are saying.
Speaking of which, Mary Jo, did you see on Twitter that Gary Petty's Cortana is responding every time we say Cortana?
Oh,
we need to say Cortana more.
Cortana? Why would it
Just
respond?
keep saying it.
Hey, Cortana. Don't you have to say, hey, Cortana?
Hey, Cortana.
Mine's not even... That's pretty funny.
They probably can't hear me with my
Cortana,
voice.
shut down the PC.
Mine's not responding.
That's funny.
It's always, never is that way. That's why I always say Echo instead of, the other name. Because I don't want people's stuff to trigger. OneDrive for Business. They got a roadmap too.
They do.
Oh, God, is that mine? All right, so.
They do. They sure do.
They do.
Yep. So back in, December, Microsoft released the first version of its next generation sync client for OneDrive for Business. This was the one that brought not quite functional parity, but it brought the sync engine from OneDrive for consumers over to business, right? At the time, it only supported Windows 7, 8.0, and 10. This one supports Windows 8.1. The trick being there that the Windows 8.1 thing, they never actually had placeholders to OneDrive for Business, but the sync engine that they're using did. So I think they had to make that change. But they added a bunch of features. I don't want to go through this whole list, but integration for Office 2016, improved setup, seamless client migration, pause sync for when you're on a plane or on Wi-Fi or something. You just want to turn off sync, online file view, et cetera, et cetera. It goes on and on. But they're updating OneDrive for Business on the web. They're updating it on Android and iOS. They're updating the IT controls. They're updating the OneDrive for Business developer tools. I mean, there's a whole slew of updates. And so that was kind of surprising because it's really... I guess it's being positioned as the spring update. So it's not like a monthly update, maybe like a quarterly update. So December was kind of a big bang, and here we are in April. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, maybe I shouldn't be surprised. But kind of a fairly major update for OneDrive for Business.
Yeah, but there has to be a but.
Oh, some stuff's not available yet? Is that the but?
Some stuff is coming. So the features you just mentioned are the next couple of weeks. They're going to be rolling out gradually. The one that people keep asking me about is the SharePoint document sync with OneDrive for Business. And up until yesterday, we didn't know the date for that. The date is the end of this calendar year, and people are going crazy because they are like, what the heck? Why is this taking so long?
Yeah, 1 year after the sync client debuted.
Yeah. And the answer is Microsoft says, we want to make sure it's rock solid, which is good, but Yeah, it's a long time to wait because in the interim, you're supposed to run the sync clients side by side, which a lot of people are like, not a great solution.
I suppose it's possible we'll see a pre-release version of that, maybe.
Yeah, there will be.
Mid-year, Ignite timeframe, something like that.
Yeah, definitely. The other thing, and if you go and look at Microsoft's blog post on this, on their update, everybody in the comments is like, what about placeholders? What about placeholders? And they just are continuing to say, we're working with the Windows team on something to replace placeholders. We still have no details and we have no time frame.
Yeah, that thing is stop asking about placeholders.
Yeah. I mean, people who want them. And they're even not going to Windows 10 because they are waiting for something.
Listen,
we don't know
I don't know that anyone used placeholders as much as I did. Yeah. And the truth is, I've kind of moved on. So I'm able to exist without placeholders pretty well at this point. It was a difficult transition because you become very used to it, but I can't say that I miss them anymore. And I will say, again, obviously I see the problem not having them, but there is something to, it's like the fingerprint reader thing where you're explicitly signing in. There is something to the explicit nature of sync where you say, I want these exact things to sync, and you know that the stuff's there, where you don't run into the problem, which you and I both had, where you're on a plane, you don't have access, you open the folder and it's not there because it didn't, it wasn't syncing.
Yep. The other thing worth pointing out on this is Microsoft's having an event on May 4th. It's a webcast event. It's called The Future of SharePoint. If you search for that on the web, you'll find the registration form. They say they're also going to talk about the future of OneDrive for Business on May 4th. So there may be more details then about some of these pieces. It's not that far in advance from now. So maybe, maybe we won't hear about placeholders, but maybe we will. Who knows?
Placeholder. I don't think anyone's going to be happy with what they do with placeholders.
No one's going to be happy. Yeah.
It's okay, folks.
All right. We already talked about the bots. Anything more to say about that? Or
one thing I'll say is I've gone back from my sick bed and watched a lot of the build sessions that they did on bots, and there are tons of them. If you go on Channel 9 and search for all the bot sessions, that is something they talked a lot about there. And you can get a lot of information and details about what is this thing Microsoft has called the bot framework. If you're a developer, it has all the links to the different pieces. There's actually development kits on GitHub now you can use to start building bots. So this isn't just like a high-level Microsoft strategy. It's something that exists in many places, and you can actually start building bots that'll not work just with Skype, but also with Slack and GroupMe and Telegram, Kik, Office 365. The one service that they don't have any solution for right now is Facebook Messenger. And I wonder, given what Facebook is doing, if Microsoft will be building bots using their framework for Facebook.
They might have had to have waited for the show.
Yeah, they might have. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff already there. It's not just like, hey, sometime in the future you can build bots using the Microsoft framework. The stuff is there now in preview. So you can actually start building it and even linking in these things they call cognitive services. So speech recognition, computer vision, search through Bing. There's a lot of things you can pull together as services linking into the bot framework now to kind of see where you can go with bots if you are so inclined.
Bots. Is there anything they can't do?
There's nothing they can't do. Nothing.
Yep.
Well, finally, you've been waiting for it all day. It's time to talk about the fabric of our lives. Alcantara. Am I saying that right? Alcantara? Alcantara?
I guess.
Alcantara? Is that
Alcantara?
Alcantara?
Alhambra.
Alhambra. Is it made up like Corinthian leather, or is there really something called Alcantara?
I think there really is something. I love how it's like a stunning two-tone gray melange.
Oh, you know what? It's
sourced in
actually
Italy.
made by a company called Alcantara.
There you go.
SPA.
So what we're talking about for people who aren't watching is this new keyboard Microsoft introduced this week for Surface Pro 3 and Pro 4. It's their new highest end keyboard. It's $160, and it's made out of this stuff called Alcantara.
It's made out of
Alcantara.
this stuff.
So now here, let me tell you, this is the same. It's based on the same technology used to make Ultra Suede, and it does kind of remind one of like a softer Ultra Suede.
I think it's nice because it takes, it fixes that gray color problem that you have on Surface. Oh, wait.
It's the same color, but it's like a doe skin. It's like a little doe skin sleeve.
Yeah, it's like the thing that would be on the inside of a phone case.
Yeah.
To protect it.
It's produced by combining an advanced spinning process, producing very low denier bi-component islands in the C fiber, and chemical and textile production processes, needle punching, buffing, impregnation, extraction, finishing, dyeing, etc., which interact with each other. Invented in 1972 by Miyoshi Okamoto at the Toray Industries in Japan. 63% polyester, 32% urethane. It's
geez.
plastic, folks. That kind of feels like suede, and it may be flame retardant. Although don't it may be flame retardant.
Yeah, it may be flame, attractive.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to say.
It is used as a flame retardant driver's seat covering material for Formula One race cars.
There you
Also
go.
used as the ear pad material for high-end headphones from Sennheiser. As well as, and somebody's already added this to Wikipedia, Microsoft's new Alcantara Surface Pro 4 cover.
There you go.
There you go.
I
Here's
think you
my
should
problem
play
with this thing.
a little of the video because the video.
Before you do that,
Yeah.
it's two issues with this.
Yeah.
One is it doesn't come with a fingerprint reader, so it's the more expensive pricing, but it doesn't have that awesome feature.
No,
I think
you know
that
why?
stinks.
Alcantara doesn't have any fingerprints.
It doesn't. Well, but okay.
It's designed
so the other one
not to have
what?
fingerprints.
Okay. Well, the other issue is the video Mary Jo was just alluding to, because if you ever doubted that Microsoft wanted these things to be like Apple, watch this video.
Everyday objects beautiful.
The Surface
She's even
is
got
an
a British-
example of
they even-
best-in-class engineering.
She's like
But
Johnny
it's
Ive, but with hair.
complemented with something that really kind of touches your heart, that touches you
What?
as a person. The signature type cover that we are launching, it really started out as an exploration. Who in the world of materials is really top of the line?
Alcantara is born and made in Italy. It's a higher quality
No, it was born in
luxury
Japan,
textile.
but it's
There's
made
no
in
other
Italy.
material like it in the market. It's never going to fade. It's only going to get better with age. If you look at any landscape, all colors subtly have this kind of two-tone melange effect.
Made of
And that's what this material gives us.
68% polyester.
Yep.
And,
Like most of the planet Earth, it's mostly
Aesthetic
polyester.
is created on a polymer level. Every square inch of that material
Oh my
is
God, I can't
unique.
believe they're doing this
Intersection
much.
of fibers
Yeah, no, it
creates
goes
a
on and
very
on.
dense and durable material. At the same time,
It's the
creates a
best of
very
German
smooth,
engineering
velvety experience.
mixed
There's
with
something
British
that makes you want to
accent.
reach out
It's
and
like
touch it.
made of lint.
It looks like it's made of lint. It feels like it's made. Oh,
You know that stuff that collects in your pocket? Well, we made a keyboard out of it,
Signature
folks.
type cover, there's an intersection there.
Oh, so
between
it's actually-
technology,
the cover's
style,
made of it?
Fashion, design. It's the
It's-
most premium experience we've ever been able to bring to a device.
It's not just an accessory.
it's
You
Alcantara.
live with it, and it lives with you.
Too bad Ricardo Montalban wasn't
know.
around to do the commercial.
Fine Alcantara.
That is
Fine
amazing.
Corinthian Alcantara. Do you want Alcantara? Yes. Yes, you do. Wow. Man, oh man. That is. Oh, I'm sorry. I
Because
turned
Paul
your,
and I went back and forth about it.
What?
I think it's good. I think it's good to give people who want to pay for a premium experience
much
something
is
to
it?
buy. Yeah, why not? Let them
150
spend their money on
150.
that.
$160 for the cover. Well, that's only
If you wanna
40
do
bucks
it-
more, right?
But it doesn't
It's
have
like
the
that new
fingerprint.
Kindle.
Right. Which
If
is
you
$260.
want to spend all that money,
Yeah.
go for it.
So
No,
this-
no. Oh, by the way, I agree. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just the presentation. It's like,
It's Apple,
You know.
man. Apple's doing all right.
that's terrible.
Have a bite of my apple.
Right.
It's the thinnest Alcantara we've ever made.
Yep.
I
The
actually
thinnest
like
and
the
lightest
idea
Alcantara.
of giving people something to buy if you want a premium experience. I think it's good.
I bought it for the headliner of my car. It must be good.
Is it gray?
Yeah. Looks just like that.
So it's natural. Like when they went to magnesium colored, it was like the natural color of the material.
Every once in a while, I just put my arms in the air and rub my roof.
And just, oh, yeah, baby.
Oh, baby.
Like, hey, Leo, we're going to leave. Hold on.
I can't. I'm feeling the Alcantara.
It's not just an accessory, Leo.
It's soft.
It's a lifestyle.
It's a lifestyle. Is that what he said? A lifestyle.
It's a lifestyle.
Yep.
And it soaks up gravy like a sponge. Don't grease spots.
This is why I could never be an Apple blogger. I couldn't deal with this on a regular basis.
It's hard.
Like
I know.
I would just mock it endlessly.
Of course. But it deserves it. Yeah.
Yep.
It deserves it. Okay. I'm still working with Ubuntu here and discovering many things. Just as you suspected, it's virtualizing the Ubuntu drive. So it's slash, but it's not really in the file system of the Windows. Yeah. It's cool, though. I'm having fun with it. I haven't broken it yet. RM-RF/ does not delete your Windows drive, but it does seem to delete bash.
Thanks. All right, we'll just reinstall that.
Whoops. Cantata would have saved me.
It must be a universal Windows platform app because it's isolated.
Yeah.
Well, actually, you can interact with the file system.
Yeah, you totally can. I'm not sure. Yeah, it's not sandboxed in that regard. Well, yeah. Yeah.
I think you need to do a know-how about
I think
bash.
so. /MNT/C is the file system. So let me just try RM-RF program files. Should I?
Sure.
Maybe I just do Windows. That would even be more devastating. RM-RF.
Well, I mean, they're probably built in. I don't think you could
really
get too far deleting.
Should I hit
Windows.
return?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
You have all the recovery tools you need, right?
Oh.
You can do a cloud-based recovery of service. You'll be fine.
CD-MNT-C.
This is when the graphic comes up.
Yeah, it could.
Like technical
difficulties.
issues.
No, it didn't. It didn't do it. I should have probably just done it with like hyperfile.sys instead of something important. Here's recovery text. What is that? Cat recovery.
I just enjoy that you can be so easily goaded into doing something like that.
No, because that's my job. It's to discover what you can and cannot do. All right. RM recovery. I'm root. I should be able to do anything. Permission denied.
Wow.
So I may be root, but I'm not all powerful. So that's probably why they let you be root, because all you can really do is screw up Linux, and who cares about that?
Yep.
All right. Tips and picks. Back of the book. Oh, you have to use sudo? Let me try it. I shouldn't have to use sudo. I'm root. I don't have to use sudo. I'm root. I am Groot. Oh, wait a minute. I did the ads.
Did you?
I did.
Was there a third ad?
In your dreams, Thurrott.
No.
There's an ad for bash. I'm sure there is.
Well, allow me then just to make an audible mention because.
Oh yes, please do. Give them
the Audible
a free
app.
ad. Why
Not
should they
for a
pay?
book, but rather the app on iOS and Android was updated this week with something called Channels.
This is new.
And
yes.
Yeah, and you'd have to be a member, so you do have to pay a monthly fee. But this is pretty awesome, and it's sort of like I think of it as Pocket for audio. It's a bunch of awesome audio content. Podcast, news, comedy shows, exclusive things. If you're an Audible listener and you're using one of those platforms, just be sure to check it out. It's pretty cool.
It is. There's all sorts of stuff. I wish we were there. I don't know why we're not, especially because given our special relationship with Audible.
Yeah, maybe you could be. So maybe you should have that conversation.
I think we're making calls as we speak. But it's a nice feature. And, if you don't have a book to listen to right now, you can. It's kind of podcast-like, although there's comedy performances and stuff.
Yeah, there's all kinds of different things. Yeah. And this is neat because it's for those small moments, And I like the notion of this because I do a lot of reading this way, and now that this is available, I suspect I'll be doing a lot of listening this way as well.
Yeah, yeah.
So let's see. Tip of the week. One of the issues that's come up now that Microsoft is allowing upgrades to existing Windows Phone handsets is what happens when you upgrade to Windows 10 Mobile and you don't like it, or for some reason the performance isn't what you expected, you reset it, still doesn't work or whatever. Microsoft came out and said, look, if you want to roll back to your initial install of Windows Phone 8 point whatever it was that came on your phone, they'll support that and use that Windows device recovery tool that you can download for free from the Microsoft website. I've tested that. It works. It will always be the Windows Phone 8 whatever version, 8.1 something. So you can go back. And, frankly, in my experience, on most Windows Phone 8.x handsets, you're probably better off with Windows Phone 8.1, than Windows 10 Mobile. So it's nice to know that you can do that. I think I mentioned last week I'm working with AdDuplex to do mobile app picks each week now on the show, and then I'll write it up tomorrow. And this is based just on upvotes and through the App Raisin app that they have. And this week's pick is, and this is also, I should say too, this is nice because these picks are always going to be for Windows 10, meaning Windows 10 for PCs and for mobile. And so actually, it's funny, most of the action this week in the store was on existing apps, updates to, the camera app or whatever whatever the built-in apps are. But the big new app this release was Disney Crossy Road, and you probably know Crossy Road from, because you're alive and whatnot. Everyone's seen Crossy Road, but this is the cool, it's just a fun-looking version, Disney Crossy Road, sorry. And then just kind of as an additional set of app picks, Microsoft apps and other platforms, the Microsoft Hub keyboard, which was released initially on Android, is now available on iOS. The Outlook the Outlook mobile app on Android and iOS was updated this week to support something called Calendar Apps. And basically what that means is you can integrate with other services like Wunderlist and bring those things into your calendar through the app. So that's kind of a cool new feature for that. Word, Excel, and PowerPoint on iPhone only were updated with new contextual menus as well. And the way I understand that, because the truth is I don't use these apps that much on iPhone, obviously, but if you select something on Office for any mobile platform, iOS, Android, Windows 10 Mobile, you get this kind of pop-up menu that goes across the screen with various choices related to that item. This is an additional pop-up. It's actually a toolbar that appears on the bottom that has commands that you can apply to that selected item, and it goes well beyond the select all, edit, rename kind of stuff you see in the other pop-up. And it really is like a toolbar like you'd see in a Windows application. And if it doesn't fit on your screen, you can kind of scroll through it to access the complete list of commands. And so that's pretty cool. And I would imagine that's going to be coming to Android and Windows 10 Mobile in the future. But right now it's iPhone only. I think that's everything.
All right.
Just the audible thing.
The audible, the pick. And now we have to go to, I'm sorry to say, Enterprise Pick of the Week, but fortunately...
Let me fire up the Xbox.
Don't be sorry.
Yeah. Fortunately, I just got Dark Souls 3. So go ahead, Mary Jo, and just let me know when you're done.
Well, you're going to care about this one, I predict.
am. Oh, good.
Oh, yeah. So, there's already something called Patch Tuesday, which is when Microsoft issues its patches and fixes and updates for its various products. Well, there's going to be a second Patch Tuesday. Well, actually, you could even say a third, because sometimes there are patches that come out the third Tuesday of the month. So regular Patch Tuesday is the second Tuesday of every month. Now there's going to be the first Tuesday of every month, a separate patch day for Office. So any Office non-security updates, which means bug fixes, modified features, anything that's listed as critical or a definition, but not security kind of an update, is going to start coming on the first Tuesday of the month. This is for Office, the MSI version of Office only, not for click-to-run patches. But it gives us a whole other Patch Tuesday to look forward to. So I bet, Leo, you will care. It started this week, actually last week. Tuesday, April 5th was the first time. And I noticed on my Windows update on my machine, there were a whole ton of Office updates that day, which was the first Tuesday of the month. That's just going to be the way it is now if you're using Windows Server Update services or Windows Update, or Microsoft Update. You're going to start having an extra fun Patch Tuesday to deal with.
Chat room's egging me on. They said, well, what if you ran the command prompt
No,
as
this
an
is like you guys
administrator?
spinning off into Xbox. No.
Actually, I'm playing Disney Crossy Road, so it's not really Xbox.
See?
I like having Mickey go across the road. That's
I
cool.
do too. He's cute.
Yeah, it's cute. No, I do like that. That's good. I'm looking forward to another Patch Tuesday. What could be wrong with that? And I do like your codename pick of the week as well.
Yep. Codename pick of the week is Madeira.
Have some Madeira.
So Madeira is something other than what a lot of us thought it was. I and a number of other people who cover Microsoft's Dynamics ERP business thought Madeira was simply the code name for the next version of Dynamics NAV. We found out this week that that's not exactly what it is. Madeira is I wouldn't say a whole new service, but a new service for SMB customers that Microsoft built using Dynamics ERP technology. So what they did was they took some of the bits of Dynamics ERP, hosting them in Azure to create a cloud service. And then they built three or four different kinds of native apps. So there's an iOS version of Madeira, there's an Android version, a Windows version, and there's going to be a web client. What this is a fairly simple way to do a lot of the tasks that are typically ERP tasks. So purchasing, handling your finances, a little bit of CRM in there as well, through these apps that connect back to this Azure service. The part that I think is very interesting and unique is they built this so that you can stay inside of Outlook and do this. So a lot of times people will say, oh, I'm a little worried about learning a whole new system, but so many business users use Outlook already. This will be like an add-in to Outlook, is my understanding, that will let you do all these other functions from inside the familiar Outlook interface. Microsoft made the preview version of these apps available for download from all those different app stores this week. So you can try it out if you have I think it's an authorization code that you need through your IT org to provision you for working with this new service. But it's out in preview now, going to be out in final form, I believe, by the end of this year. Aimed at customers who have like 10 to 100 employees. It's a new way of doing ERP for small and mid-sized businesses using a cloud backend. And as Eric Haugard, I believe is how he pronounces his name, who's listening, he's a Dynamics Nav MVP. He said, this is like Microsoft's NetSuite killer. That's kind of what they're going for here. So that's my pick of the week, codename Madeira.
I like it.
By the way, sorry to interrupt. Rick Kendall on Twitter says we should call this episode Funky Cold Madeira.
And by the way, Scott Hanselman had tweeted to Dr. Pizza and Carmen Crincoli and BD Sams that, and by the way, thanks Lachlan Picking in our chat room for retweeting it to me. The root on Linux does not equal root on Windows. However, if you relaunch as admin, in other words, run CMD as admin, and then go to /mount/c, you can, in fact, and I just did, delete stuff.
There you go.
There you go. So there you have it. That's how to do it. Yeah, just in case
that
you
works.
Just in case you want to delete your Windows directory. Yeah, just a little tip for y'all. There's seems to be some other protection in there. I can't do anything I want, but yeah, it's cool. I'm having fun. It's fun to explore and delete your hard drive and stuff.
Yep. I told you that was my second Delphi program, Virtual F Disk. Visual F Disk.
Visual
Sorry,
F Disk.
I keep getting that right.
I like Visual F Disk.
Okay. Sorry.
It is time to ask all of you, are you old enough for this adventure? Mary Jo Foley's beer pick of the week. I guess you can listen.
You can listen even if you can't enjoy.
Yeah.
So my beer pick of the week, because it's that time of the year, is Founders KBS 2016.
I see the word chocolate in there.
Yes. So KBS stands for Kentucky Breakfast Stout.
Kentucky Breakfast Stout.
Kentucky Breakfast Stout. That's amazing.
It's a
great.
stout brewed in oak bourbon barrels.
Oh, wow.
It's a 12.4% beer, not for the faint of heart. But it tastes like chocolate and like dark fruits. It's like all the delicious things you would enjoy in a bourbon barrel aged stout.
And it says it has massive amounts of coffee and chocolate in it.
I think that's the flavors. I'm not sure they actually brew it with that.
Oh, okay.
But I may be wrong on that.
Yeah, it says it's brewed with a massive amount of
brewed
coffee and
with,
chocolates. Yeah.
Interesting.
Then
Okay.
cave aged. So it's chocolate, coffee, bourbon.
Wow.
No wonder it's Kentucky
Even better.
breakfast.
Yeah, even better.
Wow. I got to get some of this. That sounds awesome.
It's really good. And the reason I made it the pick this week is this is kind of the time of year that it comes out. Founders releases it in the spring typically, and it's pretty hard to get it any other time of the year. So it's very, very much a seasonal beer. If you ever see it, you should grab it and try it because you will love it.
Very nice. KBS. And it's pretty widely available.
Yeah, Founders distributes in more and more places now.
Good.
In fact, there's a whole KBS week where there's events all over the country. I think some people even fly to Michigan to be near Founders when they release KBS because
This is
it's become
serious.
a thing.
This is a thing.
Yep,
It's the running of the founders.
it is.
I went
They
to
had
Red
it on
Scarf.
tap at Rattle yesterday.
Did they?
I doubt it's still there. But
Yum.
if it is, maybe Paul and Brad will get
I was
to
going to say,
try
we're going to
it.
be there tomorrow.
Are you?
so-
Oh.
Yep.
Not that I drink beer or anything.
No.
Well, whether you're a beer drinker or just want to be one, this is the show for you. We do Windows Weekly with the great, the immortal Mary Jo Foley. You just can't kill her. The bronchitis
We've
is
apparently
trying.
tried. She's like that
Keep
Russian
trying.
spy in London.
Hey! No. Mary Jo Foley is at allaboutmicrosoft.com, and I hope you're feeling better. You sound.
I feel good. I
Yeah,
just sound
it's just
horrible.
I know how that is.
I can't believe it's lasted
Sorry.
this long, though. That's
Poor. Well, you went.
tough.
I didn't realize you
Me
went to
neither.
New Orleans after you went to.
I
Bill.
did for work. I had to go to.
Yeah.
I had to go to emergency care
right.
weekend.
Because there's
you?
nothing
Oh.
like medical care in
New Orleans.
in New Orleans.
Yeah, everybody else in the waiting room was like hungover and
Night
drunk,
force.
and I'm in
Yeah,
there like
yeah.
coughing my head off.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I hope you feel better. Mary Jo Foley is
better.
at allaboutmicrosoft.com, wielding her Nexus 6P. Paul Thurrott is at Thurrott.com. We won't ask him what he's wielding besides a massive nail-studded club.
Yep.
Yep. Yep. He's kind of a caveman. I'm wielding the bash prompt. So there you go.
The prompt is mightier than the sword.
We do this show every Wednesday, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. That's around about 1800 UTC. Good Lord, willing the creeks don't rise. We'll be back again next week. And I hope you will too. On Windows Weekly. See you guys.